Hey guys, SureShotMidget here. I am doing a review on another HPA gun. This is an Inferno. So I've never done a video on an Inferno. I do have my SMP, which is made by the same company, and that is Wolverine. The SMP is a little bit older. They do have a Gen 2 of the SMP. This is actually the Gen 2 of the Inferno. So this is pretty much Wolverine's newest addition to HPA. Now, this is actually Blake's gun. So this is Austin's twin brother's gun. Okay, so I had the F1, that is Austin's gun. This is Blake's. And I did mention that Blake had one too. So I'm just going to refer to them as the twins, okay? So this is the other one. Now, I brought this home to do a few things on. And I'm also filling his tank. So, and I guess you can consider that one thing that I was supposed to do. So, I'm filling his tank. Now, what tank he uses is actually SLP, and he uses an SLP regulator too. I believe this is probably an amped SLP regulator, but there's no amped logo, so it might be one of the copies. Oh, no, right there. There's the amped logo. Right there on the regulator. So, amped, made in the USA, pretty cool. Then the amped tank, so, and he also has a line, but he has a line built into his backpack, so he just took the tank out. So it's like, goes through his backpack and then through his plate carrier, so he just kept that. Now, this is a 48 cubic inch 3000 tank, so this doesn't really last him all day. So he's buying a second tank. He's going to buy a 62 cubic inch Vulcan tank, and it needs to be SLP. So I'm going to get him an SLP one from Vulcan, from Assault Airsoft. So he's going to get it from there. They're going to do a special order for him and get him a second tank. Now, this engine is very efficient, just like the SMP or the F1, but still, a 48 cubic inch is not really enough. And there's really no place close to him to get tanks filled, except for a paintball park that's only open on the weekends, and that's when he plays. So that's why I brought it home with me to fill it. And then next weekend we're going to a new indoor field that I've never been to. So we'll see how that goes, but there's supposedly a paintball place that's really close to there. That they can fill tanks at, but I'll take an extra tank for him to use. So hopefully we'll be all good with tanks. His brother, actually, I will mention, Austin, the one with the F1, he runs this tank. This is a 90 cubic inch, 4,500 Ninja carbon fiber tank. This thing lasts forever, and in fact, he played all day and it still had 2,500 PSI left. And then I finished that off because I was taking this to fill. I'm actually getting an air pass for him. So I'll be able to bring this home whenever he wants me to and fill my tanks when I fill mine. So that's pretty cool. Also, he lives an hour away from me, so it's not too terrible if he wants to come up during the week and get his tank filled with the air pass. But still, an hour just to get your tank filled is kind of ridiculous. But that's the closest airsoft shop. So hopefully Assault Airsoft will get a filling station. That would be fantastic. They're working on that, so we'll see. So, now onto the gun, after going over the tanks, and the lines that they use are just probably amped lines. And then the regulator that Austin uses with his F1, I think is a Ninja. It's a non-SLP, I believe. It's a little bit better than the SLP stuff, in my opinion. I don't like the SLP stuff. Doesn't seem to be as consistent, but I'll just go ahead and go over the externals and such now. So Magpul stock, it's a little loose on the buffer tube, but it might be a real stock and then an AEG buffer tube. So maybe that's why it's a little loose. There is the FCU in there and the LiPo in the buffer tube. So I'll show you that in a minute once I get into the internals. Magpul pistol grip, there is the Wolverine line. I'm not sure, this has to be stock. It's not an upgrade because it goes all the way into the engine. So it's a pretty long cord. You could cut it and make it shorter, but it does have a little sleeve there that says Wolverine Airsoft. With the Magpul pistol grip, we have an Airsoft Junkie's body, which is nice. This thing is nice. Now, I hear that it's OEM by VFC, so that's why the finish is so nice. It's anodized, and it's nice and textured, which is awesome. Standard selector switch just on the one side, standard mag catch. Non-functioning bolt lock, charging handle, ambi sling mount there, got a Fortis rail, so this is a real rail. I apologize if the light, I know the lighting's bad. with this camera, so that's why I have this light here, but it's probably quite annoying that it's only in one spot. But there's the Fortis rail. Hope that's not like too bright. It is in tan, and this is actually a rail for a real gun, so which is pretty interesting. It is a very interesting rail. It has a rail on the top, rail on the bottom, and then key mod slots on the side. So it's kind of a hybrid, and it's very, very light. This thing, I mean, as you can see, there's huge holes on the side here for venting with a real gun, or just lightness for airsoft over real. I believe these are QD mounts right here. And then the way this rail works, it mounts this right here, and you pull this off, and then the top rail actually comes down, and then you can slide it off. But in order to do that, I do have to have the suppressor off. There is a suppressor, don't know what brand. It is not foam filled, and you can take the end out and make it an amplifier, so it could be both. He has a, what is this? Fab Defense angled foregrip. So, it's super comfortable. It is plastic. Yeah, it's really comfortable. There's actually a storage core or opening back here, so that's something the AFG does not have. There's the UTG rail cover there, and then there is a flashlight here. I'm not sure what brand. The logo's covered. I don't know what lumens it is, but it is bright. Not as bright as mine, but dang close. Just the standard like scope mounting it. He is a lefty, I believe, so that's why it's like this. So it does make sense. If you were righty, it would be over here for that. But there is little rail slots, or are those mounted? No, those are built in. So there's built-in rails on either side on the front, specifically for flashlights and lasers. You wouldn't put anything else up there. It's a pretty bright flashlight. Once you turn it on, you can tap it. You can actually hold it so it's off, and then you just let it go and it goes on. So it's not like mine, where you can not all the way tap it and it turns on, you know what I mean? And then you can click it too. So it's kind of the opposite. It depends on how you look at it. Some people wouldn't like that. Internally, it has some steel barrel. I don't know the diameter of it or the brand. It doesn't say on the outside. It's probably just some like copy of the ZCI. It's steel, so it's probably like 602, 603. There's a flat Pro 1 hop-up and a I don't know what bucking it is. I think it's one of those red matrix one. No, it's actually, I think it's the Mad Bull Red. I hate them. I've seen a lot of people love them in their HPA guns. It's not very consistent. I've tried it in a few guns, and it is okay. It's not amazing. It's okay. And then there's a flat top nub. So as far as what BB weights, I've been using 2.5s. I loaded a mid cap of 2s though, just to test, because this is the only .25s I have left right now. Waiting on a package from Evike for BBs. So we'll shoot a few 2.5s out of it. As far as FPS, I have it set at about 85, 90 psi. I have not chronoed it, so we'll chrono it and see how hard it shoots. But he runs his at 80, and I run mine at about 85. So, but outdoors he could run it higher. I told him probably about 90, 95, maybe even 100 outdoors. That's where I'm gonna run. I'm gonna run mine at like 99, between 90 and 100 outdoors. I will turn the light off now. Now I am using my Valken 62 cubic inch tank. So this is identical to the one that he's looking to get. I only have 1,000 psi left of air. So we'll see how efficient this is. It's pretty dang efficient, but alright. So I'm using a GMP high cap with matrix .25s. We're all hooked up. Oh, forgot to show you the FCU. I'll show you the FCU. The FCU is just like the SMP. It's got the 2 plastic screws. They did not update their FCU. As you can see, it's got the 2 plastic screws for dwell and rate of fire. So, rate of fire is actually semi-locked, because when I was working on it, also I shortened the trigger pull and sealed up the QD with some Teflon. I also tuned the hop up a little bit. And also the outer barrel had slid off, so I had to take the rail off and tighten down the screws on the outer barrel. What was I saying? Semi-auto lock, because basically when I put the gun together and went from semi to full auto, it actually broke off the full auto tab on the side of the trigger board. He doesn't really care. I hope he doesn't, because that's kind of stupid that it broke off. Don't know if it was because of the G&G selector plate or what, but I contacted SMP or Wolverine to see if they could do anything about it. See if they could send me a new board. But it is semi-auto lock, but for indoors, that's all you can do anyways. They don't run any full auto games anymore, so semi-auto, I would be fine with it, but I don't know. He said he's fine with it though. So let's go and shoot it. Oh, red dot. I forgot to go over this. Dang. It's a Valken Outdoor red dot. It looks like an ACOG. It's non-magnified, and it's red and green, I believe. Or maybe it's just red. It is just red. Sounds pretty good to me. Let's take the tip off of the amplifier and see how it sounds. Or the suppressor to make it an amplifier. Ooh, sounds pretty good. Okay, put it back on. I'll mention that to him. I didn't know if he knew that that comes off like that. It also has a Daniel Defense outer barrel. So, cool plus. Very consistent, at least where the hop sits now. Let's do 2 5s. I'll make sure to note what joules it's at too, because that's important with HPA. 352 at 1.44, so that would be legal. 360, 1.5. 1.5 is the limit. 1.45 joules. 1.49, 1.49, 1.46, 355 FPS. These are 2 5s. 1.43. He said he's going to use 2 5s. 351 FPS, 1.43 joules. And 350 FPS, 1.42 joules. So that is legal. And what PSI am I at? I'm at about 90, so he runs it at 80, so he runs it a little bit lower. So between 80 and 90, he's good for indoors. And air efficiency, that dial has not gone down since I've been shooting in the video. Alright, try some .2s. See if you guys want to... I know it's so dark out. Well, it's not. It's the camera, really. Oh, I gotta kneel down, too. These are 2, so they're overhopping. Overhopping a lot. But feeding is perfect. Trying to angle it so you guys can see it at all sorts of angles. Okay. That's it, all empty. It's really, really quiet when there's no ammo in there. I just realized I had the stock off the whole time. So yeah, that's it. As far as the air, I can hear it's kind of going down. Yeah, it went down about halfway, so it's at about 500. So, I mean, very air efficient, but, I mean, I had a little bit less than 1,000 in that tank. So it's pretty much out of air. You can get the rate of fire high. I have my SMP set for 30 on my UMP, and this you could get at 30 easy. I saw one guy on YouTube that did 40 with his, but it is a screw, so you have to properly tune it. You have to fine tune it, but I saw one guy on YouTube that had his at 40, and it fed really good. So you get them high rate of fire and such. As far as FPS, again, at about 90 PSI, it's getting about 1.45 joules, which is legal indoors, both indoor fields. And then it's about 350 with a 2.5 FPS wise. Range, it's pretty good. It's not the most consistent gun, but for indoors, it's definitely good enough. I will let him field it and see how it does, but this is how he got it. And, you know, I'm going to see how he likes it. You know, without replacing anything, it shoots okay. Austin is using 2.5s in his F1. I did shoot it and actually fed on full auto. I want to update you guys. It fed on full auto beautifully. 30 rounds a second. I popped my GMP mid-cap in there and shot it, and it fed 100%. It was nice, and it sounds really good with his flash hider on it instead of the suppressor that he had. So his gun's working really well, and with 2.5s, it shot pretty consistent. So, but if it changes, definitely .3s will help. Heavier BBs will help keep consistency, because it seems like with HPA guns, they fluctuate so much that when you have a heavier BB, it's a lot better at keeping its flight. So they might end up going to 3s. Austin said he had quite a lot of .25 BBs left, so he's probably going to use those up and then maybe go to 3s for now on. But if I would recommend them to use, I would recommend them to use 3s, just straight up, for better consistency, even indoors, once they run out of their 2.5s. But I'll let them know. But 2.5s for now is fine. And the same store that I'm taking that air tank to get filled and get the pass on, they sell .3s, 5,000 for like $16, which is pretty dang good for 5,000 .3s. So not that expensive, and that would last them a good probably 3 days of play, 3 different weekends, you know, 3 Saturdays of play, or a Saturday, a Sunday, and another Saturday or whatever. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, you can ask. But again, I mean, it's so similar. The Inferno is so similar to the SMP. The main difference is the actual system itself, not the FCU, not the wiring. It's the actual like cylinder setup and the solenoid setup. The way it locks into the gearbox shell is the main difference. So if you have any questions, comment below. And thank you so much for watching.